Welcome to the June meeting of the Commission on Aging. Thanks everybody for being here. We do have a quorum. Thanks for all of us being here to make that quorum. Appreciate that. First order of business is the minutes from the May meeting. Anybody have any questions or changes? Go ahead.
I'm Suzanne, not Susan.
Got it. Okay. So our secretary is viewing us via TV 79, so we'll take that into account.
In the minutes, Jim Metzger was misidentified as Tom Dempsey.
Got it. Okay.
So it was Mr. Metzger, not Mr. Dempsey, who reported about Chris Jones in that home area.
Brilliant. Okay. Any other changes in the minutes for May? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Jim. A second? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Great, everybody. Okay. So our first order of business is the Mather Center report. Unfortunately, Beth cannot be here today, so I'm going to read it into the record. I will send it to the secretary by email, so you'll see it again. All right. Fair enough. So this is what Beth says. My senior center is now the official check-in for daily attendance at the Mather Center. Eventually, we'll be utilizing more features to garner specific statistics. Letters have gone out to current no resident members for membership renewal to begin July 1st. The membership fee remains $25 for non-residents and free for Darien residents. Darien residents are asked to update any pertinent information changes at this time as well. Volunteers at the information desk are continuing to provide vital support to members each day, assisting with sign-ups, program information, and building directions. Caitlin Stote, program specialist, resigned her position on May 17th. The position is posted on the Human Resources site. She then lists the various things that are going on, which we will post on the thing, which includes health and wellness activities, educational academic activities, creative pursuits, entertainment and fun, services, including a pulse cardiac wellness testing by appointment by Christine Burns, RN, etc., etc. Program days 20, family inquiries 10, caregiver support 11, human services referrals 8, information and referral 8, and 3 referrals apparently to At Home in Darien. Awesome. There are meetings this month of the Senior Center Directors on June 12th, and of course, here we are at the Commission on Aging on June 12th. June 20th, there's a general information meeting with a Wilton representative, At Home, and Peter Etter, all getting together apparently on June 20th. Awesome. So that's Beth's report. You can read all the other details online once we post the minutes. Great. And we're now blessed to have Cynthia Hall here, Human Services. Thanks, Cynthia. You've got a report for us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So we have currently 3 protective services for the elderly cases open. 2 of them are involved in probate court, and the 3rd one will most likely also go to probate. They're very time-consuming and very complicated for our department. We started the renters rebate program last month, and that has been going well. We've had many applicants already come by. So to be eligible for the program, you have to be 65 years or older or disabled. You need to have lived in Connecticut 1 year prior to applying. There are income limits. So for a single person, the income limit is $43,800, and for a married couple, it's $53,400. So what it is that a portion of what the applicant has paid towards their rent and utilities is given back to them in form of a rebate check. And the checks are mailed out in November, so it's perfect timing for the holiday season. We also have our medical loan closet, which continues to be a great resource for Darien residents, and also our emergency call list. So we call everyone prior to or after a storm or a town-wide emergency. We have close to 100 residents on our list. If you'd like to be added or know of anybody that would benefit from being on our list, please let us know.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Oh, sure. Is there anything that you missed that you want me to repeat?
I didn't understand the first part. Was it protective services?
Yes, for the elderly.
What does that mean?
So it's a state program. So it kind of like DCF that protects children, it's for elderly. So anyone who's 60 and older. So they get involved if someone, like let's say a doctor's office is concerned of an individual who's 60 and over, they'll get involved. Or a neighbor could call to file a report.
And what does that have to do with probate court?
So depending on the situation, probate might need to be involved if they don't have anyone that will take care of their assets and their financials. So it really depends on the case. So it happens to be that these two cases that we're working on are definitely going through probate.
So they're just elderly that have been referred to you who need.
Right, they've been referred to the state, and then the state will contact us.
Got it.
And I can shed a little bit more light on the conservatorship position. And that, by the way, it's conservator in Fairfield County and conservator in the rest of the world, but yes, it's conservator here. When an elderly person is clearly incapable of caring for themselves and their financial affairs in the view of the state, they will bring it to the probate court when there's no family member involved and ask the probate court, typically to appoint an attorney, you know, a lot of do pro bono work, to take care of the person's health care and finances. Ideally, it never gets to that point. The family member steps in and through power of attorney and other things, they can take care of things. But when it gets to that point where we don't have a family member involved, okay, the state is basically into the probate court to say, please help us, Your Honor, because this person can't take care of themselves anymore. Great. Other questions for Cynthia? None. Thanks so much. So our new business today is our three friends here. Will you guys introduce ourselves?
Sure.
I'm Sharon Roberts. I live in Selleck Woods. I've been there for 3 years. I've been involved and chaired the Residents' Council. We branched off, having involved ourselves in every aspect of the P&Z meetings through Zoom, in which the town voiced their opinion and listened to P&Z. We branched off into a separate committee called the Select Committee, and we are really focused on the whereabouts and the progress of what's happening at number 3 Parklands Drive. We're not in favor of being overlooked by the management of Selleck Woods, which its corporate name is LCB, nor the new owner and developer who will take over the property.
And hi, thank you for inviting us, first of all. And I know it was very short notice, and I really appreciate your being flexible on that point. We're really looking forward to having an exchange of ideas here today. My name is Jack Grams, G-R-A-M-S, and I am also a resident at Selleck Woods, and I am chair of the 3 Parklands Select Committee that Sharon just referenced. We are very, we've been involved, I have been involved on the 3 Parklands redevelopment project since the beginning. We sat through all of the P&Z commissioners' review sessions where there was public comment and so forth. So we gave a lot of public comment. We had a lot of residents attend the public comment section of the P&Z review. And after it was all said and done, the need to have the affordable housing units overwhelmed this is my opinion, overwhelmed the input from the neighbors and Selleck Woods residents that were all vehemently opposed to the project and very vocal about it. But I guess Hartford was putting a lot of pressure on the P&Z commissioners to get affordable housing units in the Darien area. I don't know if you guys are probably familiar with that process and how much pressure there's coming. So in our opinion, my opinion, the approval that was back in February of 2022 was done primarily because Bob Gillen, who at the time was the developer, he has since passed in November, and Brandon Lakoff of Bell Point Construction has purchased the building and purchased the rights to tear down the 3 Parklands building site, including the huge rock that's out in front. To give you a sense of how big that rock is, it's about 30 feet width and 12 to 14 feet high, and that's only on the top. That's on the top of the ground, and nobody's really done a scan to see how much it is below the ground. But part of this project is blasting that rock out and to get rid of it, because the footprint of a 57-unit apartment complex, which is what now Brandon Lakoff and before was Bob Gillen want to put there, is bigger than the current building footprint, and so they have to get rid of the rock. And that leads us to the issue that's the primary issue that was in my letter that I wrote, was the dust issue associated with the blasting. And I'll defer that right now because I'm going to read the letter. A lot of that information is in the letter. So we want to thank you very much for listening, for allowing us to come in to make our spiel, and we're hopeful that somehow we can get some support throughout the organizations in Darien to at least look at the health issue associated with the blasting and the heavy demolition of the two-story, 45,000 square foot property. The Selleck's Woods facility is 150 yards away from where the construction site is. And all the information we get says that we are well within the diameter, the zone of the construction dust permeating the building at SW. And we have, well, over 100 residents, most of whom have very serious health issues already. And the fact that they're going to have to worry about breathing in construction dust has raised anxieties tremendously throughout the community. So again, I thank you for listening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and for you to receive my letter, and we hope that there can be some follow-up from the meeting. So let me introduce my wife, Gail. As I said, we've been at Southwood like 4.5 years. Gail and I have been married for 55 years. Gail is in late stage Alzheimer's, and what they call late stage. She was diagnosed about 10 years ago. The environment at Selleck's Woods has helped stabilize the Alzheimer's tremendously. I'm sure you guys have read a lot about Alzheimer's, and stability, quiet, routine, all those things make a big difference in terms of the degree at which Alzheimer's will progress. Gail is not the same. She's lost a lot of her cognitive skills particularly in the last 18 months. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamantly opposed to having this project go forward, because I think Gail is going to be dramatically impacted by the construction, the heavy construction traffic right outside on Parklands Drive, and I can go on and on and on. I know I should shut it down, and I guess you'll want me to read the letter.
Please do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the letter is to Mr. Pankowski. Here's the body of the letter says, respectfully asking for your intervention. The 3 Parklands Drive project, Darien, Connecticut, is focused on the demolition of the current 3 Parklands buildings, followed by the construction of a 57+ unit apartment complex on the same plot site. The 3 Parklands site is just 150 yards south of the residents of Selleck's Woods senior living community, where we all live. This demolition effort will be noisy, dusty, chaotic, and disruptive to the Selleck's Woods community. It will be particularly nasty because the plan calls for the demolition, a lot of blasting, of the very large rock immediately northeast of the current 3 Parklands building. And I indicated on the surface that's about 30 feet long and about 12 to 14 feet high.
It's more like a boulder.
So I don't know how, it's whatever, it's huge. And it's been there probably since Adam and Eve. So, but anyway, that's not in the letter, by the way. The significant quantities of construction dust generated by this demolition blasting phase will be especially hazardous to the health of the very vulnerable Selleck Woods residents. This dust will include respirable crystalline silica particles. And then we cite a OSHA website which deals with respirable crystalline silica particles, and the letter includes the website nomenclature. One of the quotes out of the OSHA website is, quote, "Silica crystalline, breathing in very small respirable crystalline silica particles causes multiple diseases, including silicosis, an incurable lung disease that leads to disability and death. Respirable crystalline silica also causes lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that's COPD, and kidney disease." Should I keep going?
Yeah, please.
Exposure to respirable crystalline silica is related to the development of autoimmune disorders and cardiovascular impairment. These occupational diseases are life-altering and debilitating disorders that annually affect thousands of workers across the United States. That's all quote unquote out of the website. Okay. Going on in the letter. Silica dust particles are less than 10 micrometers in size, about half the diameter of a strand of human hair. They will stay airborne for up to several hours until gravity and electrostatic forces help them settle onto surfaces. Of greater importance, at this size, they can easily enter the lungs, where they're even more toxic than coal dust. Research has shown that these particles can degrade air quality as far as 800 yards away from the construction site, leading to a variety of serious health problems cited previously. The risk is particularly high for vulnerable populations like the senior citizen population at Selleck Woods. Selleck Woods is as I said, less than 150 yards from the Free Parklands construction site, which will be generating the dust. Once inside your lungs, the silica dust particles can damage and scar your lungs. That's called silicosis. This scarring makes your lungs less flexible, so it's hard to breathe. There is no cure for silicosis, and it can lead to death. Over 100 senior citizens currently reside at Selleck Woods. Most of the aging residents have serious health issues, including major respiratory problems. Dementia is also a prevalent issue among the Southwest, I can't even, I'm losing my own residents. This project, particularly the demolition phase, which will generate tremendous amounts of construction dust, plus Selleck Woods residents' health puts Selleck Woods residents' health at great risk. The demolition heavy construction phase of the project is expected to last 4 to 6 months, beginning in October or November of this year. The approval process for this project did not account for the very vulnerable, aged resident population just 150 yards from the construction site with all of their many health issues. The approval process treated the immediate neighboring community, Selleck Woods, as if it had a typical community demographic profile. Clearly, the very problematic demographic profile of Selleck Woods deserved special consideration. The need for this special consideration was never recognized during the approval process, even though we asked for it many, many times. In addition, the construction company responsible for the project, Bell Point Capital Management LLC, is now by policy withholding construction management plans from Selleck Woods residents and the town of Darien. And I have documentation here. That was one of the additional items that I would like to discuss. Okay. The Selleck Woods residents are asking for the Commission of Agents to intervene and to at least delay the start of this project until the proper health risk analysis to Selleck Woods residents is completed and the transparency issues associated with the construction management plan are resolved. This project presents a potential risk of death to many residents in the very vulnerable Selleck's Woods community. Anxiously awaiting your response, Jack Grams, Chair of the Three Parkland Select Committee. And we report, the Select Committee reports directly to the Residents Council of the Selleck's Woods Senior Living Community.
Okay, so let's get some background. This project was approved by P&Z.
Yes.
Was an appeal taken to the Superior Court.
There was an appeal.
And what happened then?
The neighbors appealed. That's on Fairmead Road, right by they appealed. The appeal negotiations lasted for about 8 months. And then,
Threatened to go.
and they,
Hold on, I want to hear what happened. Was there a negotiation?
yeah, of course, there was a
And
big
was there a
negotiation.
settlement?
And there was no, well, there was a settlement. The settlement was associated with some plantings and stuff, very de minimis. There was
But
no
there-
financial settlement.
But there was a settlement as to what this project would be, correct?
There was a settlement between the Fairmead neighbors and Bob Gillen, who was the developer,
Understood.
that
So-
took care, that went to Superior Court and was approved by the judge, and that got rid of the appeal.
So my question is, were you part of that Fairmead group?
Yes,
Okay.
well, we can't officially be part because we're renters. As you
Understood.
well know, you have to be a property manager, a property owner, to really be part of a lawsuit against the developer.
So my question is this, okay? P&Z is approved. Appeal has been taken and settled, okay? Where can the Commission on Aging step in now? And my guess is that relates to something involving whoever is approving the demolition. Is that true?
Well, Bell Point Construction, Brandon Lakoff, owns the building and is going to be totally responsible for the demolition of the building and the rock and the construction of the new apartment.
But the Commission on Aging is not going to sue that person, I promise you. So my question is, where in the town?
Well, because what we're asking for is the health considerations
Agreed.
be taken into account.
There's no question about that. But the Commission on Aging is an advisory to the Board of Selectmen. We have no budget. We have no ability to hire an attorney. This has been settled already through the Superior Court, okay? My question to you is, because the Commission on Aging is about advocating for seniors just like yourselves.
There you go. That's what we want.
Absolutely, but it's advocation, it's not litigation, I promise you, okay?
We're not asking you to litigate it.
That's what I'm asking you to, what you want us to do.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
But we would like very much to have a recommendation out of this commission that says that there is merit to our work, to our concerns, and that it should be looked into by the appropriate Connecticut or Darien government agency that does have the power to, adjust the schedule, to ask for more information about the dust issue, how much, when, where, how, about the blasting and so forth. And so a document that I have that'll show you says right now, by policy, Bell Point Construction and LCB have agreed that they will not share any of the construction plan information with Selleck's Woods residents, nor with their proper Darien.
Well, that's not gonna work for them, I can promise you that.
Well,
Because
okay,
they're
that's
gonna
good.
have to go through, okay, at a bare minimum, a town official relating to the demolition, no question, okay? And I think that's where we can be helpful, okay? In that the question's going to be, whoever this official is who's involved in demolition, okay, is going to have to make some recommendations and potential limitations relating to the demolition, including of that large boulder, okay? And that's going to be the question of how do they protect our seniors in Selleck's Woods while this is going on? Because I promise you this is going to happen, okay? It's too far down the litigation road for this not to happen. They're going to build. The question is, how do we protect seniors during the demolition and the construction of this item? And there's got to be a town official involved in the approval of the demolition. Are you aware of there any applications for demolition yet?
Not yet. We checked yesterday.
Good. Okay, so who is this official we're supposed to be talking with? Because you checked with somebody. Who'd you check with?
It's the P and Z commissioner.
Okay, so that's not the guy, I promise you. We know the P and Z commissioner, he's not approving this, okay? There is a town official, okay?
Well, he knows when there's been an application.
Cool. So one of our jobs as the Commission on Aging, I think, is going to be to figure out who this official is, okay? Who's actually going to make this call as to when there's an application for demolition. Because I think that's where we can be helpful. In other words, if in fact there is an official who is going to be approving this, okay, we can at least be heard on the issues you're raising relating to the demolition and construction of this building.
Okay, and you would be prepared to do what?
Prepared to write a letter, prepared to potentially meet with him, if he's willing to take a meeting. I don't know if he will or not. I'd be glad to work with you on that question. But again, there's going to be a limitation to what the Commission on Aging can do if he says, sorry, it's a yes, okay? Again, we're an advisory board.
Okay, I understood that. I understood that coming in. I mean, I looked up to see if you had any enforcement mechanisms, and there are none.
Correct.
Associated with the Commission of Aging.
Correct.
I understand that. But you have a very significant input on the public relations side, and if you were to write, like you're suggesting, a letter of strong support to let's get some more data about this potential health risk, that would go a long way to whoever is going to make the final operational decision.
Fair enough.
In my opinion.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Chris.
Question? I'm sorry. No, let's not, you guys, go ahead.
Most likely it's someone from the building department who is going to be the person who's going to make the decision. But my first question is, you mentioned a study that's underway. Who is doing this study and how far along is it that is looking into the health hazards?
There is no study that I know of or we know of on point to this issue.
Oh, I thought you referred to
We're asking for that to be done.
No.
Okay. So
We have no resources.
no, I understand that, but it made me think, reading your letter, that there was something underway.
Suzanne, what's underway is the developer has to come forward with a plan on how the demolition is going to take place.
No, but the health hazards involved.
No, but the answer to your question is the plan has to be developed by the developer, and their statement is at this point in time the developer has not given any information either to them or to the town of Darien.
Yeah.
So, well, it's not just about the health issues, it's about you have to have all kinds of information associated with what hours of the day are you going to be blasting. There's issues about decibel levels. All of those kind of things have to be constructed and put forward at some point in time. You can't just suddenly do it. But Joe's point is there has to be a single point of approval within the town to approve the go forward of the demolition plan itself, which is separate from the building plan. The building plan is a whole nother issue because you have to remove, if there's asbestos in the building, that has to be removed. Or if they're just going to tear it down, then there has to be a whole full plan for asbestos abatement if there's asbestos. So at this point in time, there is no plan, no plan's been put forward. So that's what the issue is. And we have to know, Joe has to know, who is the single point, ultimate yes or no approval authority within the town to agree to the demolition.
And that is completely easily found out, okay? There's no question about that. So, other questions for these folks?
Yeah, Joe.
Okay.
So what I haven't heard in terms of the planning and the activity that's happening, have you spoken or has anybody engaged the health department? Are they part of this process?
A very similar letter went to the health department.
Okay,
They
good.
referred it to the P&Z commissioners.
Okay, because I keep, the health issues seem to really stand out to me. So I would think that would be something that would
I can be, well, let's see, maybe I don't want to be frank because I'm on TV, but we have a lot of issues with the process. Let me just put it that way. And that's about as far as I should go if I'm on TV.
where does the commission stand in publicizing this to the town of Darien?
You're on TV.
Okay, in the newspaper?
No, I'm going to write a letter, I think, if the commission approves, okay, to whoever this official is relating to this issue. Okay, I think that's as far as we're going to go right now. We're not a publicity thing, oh, please stop this for you guys. Because you've already gone through, quite frankly, a significant process to get to the point you are now before us today, including P&Z, an appeal, etc. This thing has been publicized, because of course I Googled it after your letter, okay? And this thing has been going for a while, as you are far more aware than I am, okay? So we're coming in at the very last second, the ultimate Hail Mary pass, if you will. You guys are Roger Staubach, you're going it, okay? So at the end of the day, the question is, what can we do to reduce, and I don't think it can be eliminated, to reduce the impact on Selleck Woods? I think that's our job, okay? Because I don't think we're going to be able to eliminate the problem.
Okay.
I have a question. So there has not been issued a demolition permit and or order for demolition, correct?
Are you asking, has it been done yet?
Yes, I'm asking them.
As of yesterday, no.
Okay. If you drive around town, think about like what's going on up in Pear Tree Point.
Yeah.
There is, if you're going to demolish a residence or a piece of property, there is a legal notice that is attached to trees, to everything else, including the property. That is part of the process. That also invites public comment to the demolition. That is done by the town of Darien. That's not done, as far as I know, by the developer. So there is a process that should occur that will announce publicly that the demolition is going to occur.
Do you know, off the top of your head, the amount of time for advance notification before it happens?
I don't, it's probably 60 days, it's some period of time.
You think it's at least 60 days?
It might even be 90
okay.
days.
I know it is a posted period of time, because if you've ever read what's, and I assume, now I may be wrong, that's, that commercial is no different than a residential. That you still have to post public notice if you're going to demolish a property, for all of the reasons that you're describing. It's not just health issues, it's everything.
Okay. Well, what we're concerned about is that we wake up one day and they're starting to blast that rock out, and we would have given no notice.
I think it does have to be posted. You see the demolition signs.
Well, there has to be
May I just distribute this one page?
Of course, absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'll put it in the minutes as well.
So, and what document is that? Who is that to buy?
And you keep talking.
Well, should I read it? But because this is what we're concerned about. This is in the official condo agreement between Bell Point Construction and LCB. And it basically says that they're going to withhold information. And they're not going to tell the residents, and they're not even going to tell the town of Darien about the construction plan. That's what this thing says.
I don't think that's possible.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. But it's in their bylaws. Any more?
And you made some reference that Selleck Woods is not officially involved.
The residents. LCB owns.
We rent, we don't own.
Yeah, no. LCB is the corporate entity that owns Selleck Woods. And LCB is the one, there's a two-man board for the condo board. The condo board includes both properties, the 3 Parklands and the 1 Parklands. It's a two-man board. It takes a unanimous vote for anything major to happen on either property. Now, this is major, but they've already signed away their ability to object, LCB has, in the condominium diamond, which they signed on March 28th. They gave up all their rights. They gave Brandon Lakoff the right to demolish whatever he has to demolish and to build a 57-unit, actually it says 59 in the document, 59-unit apartment. And so right now, after we read the document, we just got it a couple of weeks ago, There doesn't appear to be anything that LCB, see, we were lobbying to LCB because we're effectively their customers.
LCB is the corporate structure out of Norwood, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
They own how many?
They own 30 some odd senior living facilities. Selleck's Woods being one of them. We were lobbying hard with LCB to intervene for us. And we had what we thought were good discussions going on until we've got a copy that is publicly available in the clerk's office here about this condominium agreement, and we read it, and it says that that LCB had gave up all their rights to object to anything that Brandon Lakehoff wants to do. So LCB, as far as we're concerned, is out of the picture in terms of being able to help us. That's why we have launched this very aggressive effort to go to all the different departments that are in Darien and Harris and Hartford, because we need some help. We need somebody that will stand up and defend a very elderly population in Selleck's Woods that is very, very vulnerable on a health basis. And if nobody steps up, this thing's going to go through, and I mean, it's hard to predict.
Have you retained counsel?
I'm sorry?
Have you retained counsel?
We are in the process of retaining counsel.
Good, okay, because some lawyer needs to be representing you guys, doing all of this stuff. What you're doing today is amazing, don't get me wrong, okay, it's great, okay? But somebody who's actually an advocate who knows what they're doing relating to building stuff has to be in your corner to be able to deal with all of these issues. I'm glad you're retaining counsel towards that.
Well, we have to come up with some bucks to do that.
Yes, you do. And it sounds like you guys are very motivated to come up with some bucks to do that.
Well, the Fairmead lawsuit cost $100,000 and it didn't even get them anything.
Well,
so we need to find a lawyer of a firm who's willing to do contingency work.
It's never going to happen.
Okay, well then we will have no legal representation.
Then you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Just being real.
Well,
there's no money involved for a contingency fee. Where is the money?
Oh, sure. If there's a death. If there's a death.
Oh, that's a different issue. You're now talking about the results.
You're talking about liability post the construction.
Yeah, you're talking post-construction. That's a whole different issue. We're talking about stopping.
I'm talking about when it happens, they need to be concerned. If they don't stop it, if nobody stops it, and somebody in Selleck's Woods dies, or several die, and it can be attributed as a cause to that, they have a huge liability issue.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. But
then there will be plenty of people who will do it on contingency.
Agreed, but that's talking about right now. Right now, there are no damages. Nothing has happened. So you're not going to get a contingency fee lawyer involved. It's going to be hourly. I can guarantee you that. Okay. So I would emphasize not only what you're doing here. Okay. This is free advice from an attorney, by the way. Okay. But the reality is that absent some lawyer who's very good with a building department in town, okay, who can help you guys, okay, you're going to get us to help. I promise you. I think the Commission on Aging is going to help. But it's going to ultimately be more of a reduction. We need a lawyer who's tag teaming with you guys, okay, to be involved, who quite frankly knows what he or she is doing to be able to help you.
Do you know John Harness?
I know John Harness, but I will take no opinion, positive or negative.
No, I'm just asking because he's a lawyer that has represented the Fairmead neighbors.
Okay. I would approach him first, certainly.
We'll take suggestions also.
Not on TV, you won't.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but the point is that at the end of the day, you guys have to not only come to us, and it's awesome, don't get me wrong, I think it's doing just the right thing, but also retaining counsel, because absent that, okay, as you've seen, okay, it's really hard to be involved in the gears when you're trying to scramble to try to stop a project or slow it down or mitigate it, right? At the end of the day, it's a mitigation. Can the boulder not be demolished? That would be an amazing result, right? The boulders, that sounds like half of your battle is the boulder. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, we don't know nobody tell us how much construction dust will be associated with the demolition of the building.
Right.
What everybody knows is that there's going to be tremendous dust generated if they demolish that rock.
Right.
So no, see, we're well, when you read, anybody.
I think you should read. Is this the document you want to read into the?
I'll be glad to.
Oh, there you go.
Well, but just to Joe's point, right there, the section 13.1, you need a lawyer to read that entire section and give you an opinion on, because you use the term near legal in your letter. There's no such thing as near legal. It's either legal or it's not.
Well, I only did that because I don't want to be sued myself.
Well, but it doesn't, I don't think you're going to get sued, but
Well, I don't know about that.
we have no way of judging the legality or even the meaning of this document. I cannot believe that it's possible to bypass totally the town of Darien in getting a demolition permit.
Well, I don't think it will be. No, they're talking about not sharing the plan. Not they know they have to go through the actions once they go forward. They have to get the permits and all that.
But to get a demolition permit, to get any kind of permit, you have to have a plan.
Okay.
And that plan is going to, it's like any other plan, it's going to require you, how are you going to mitigate the issues associated with demolition? That's just standard. So you need someone that can evaluate and provide a legal opinion about what does this really mean.
And
we're in total agreement on this.
Yeah, we are too, but Joe's point is, there's just so much we can do as an advisor.
You got any money in your pocket? You give us quarters and dimes or anything?
No, I'm on the AHID board, and that's my commitment.
His quarters are going to that.
Yeah, my quarters are going down there.
Okay. All right. Well, we need a fundraising drive. I guess we got to add that to our program.
All right. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd love to get a motion that we will write a letter to the appropriate official raising these issues on behalf of the residents of Selleck's Woods, and potentially follow up at such time as there actually is a demolition requested, okay, with the proper plans, to be able to work with these folks to be in a position where we can say, okay, what can we do to mitigate, if not eliminate, the issues that are happening there on Parkland. Any motions? Thank you, Jim. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
We look forward to working with you going forward.
Well, so likewise. Believe me, likewise. This is we really appreciate. Even just listening is very valuable to us.
Well, from our perspective, it is you guys are seniors in town, very valuable members of our community, and we want to make sure you're protected to the extent we can. Okay, and that's what our goal is as well.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. You're welcome to go, or you're welcome to stay and hear the rest of the meeting. It's your call.
Just one small question. How many affordable units of this 57 or 59? It's probably 10 maybe, or how many?
15%, yeah.
Eight. So just to set the record straight, this isn't not all affordable housing.
Correct.
Yeah.
No.
It's a building.
No, but that somehow, from the P&Z Commissioner's point of view, those 8 were very important.
Well, it meets
It depends on
the statute.
8, somewhere between 7 and 9.
Yeah, it meets the statute.
And has a health study been proposed, or even, it doesn't exist as so far, am I understanding?
We've proposed it many times, but we have no money to do it, and we're trying to get somebody that would pick up the baton and
But nothing has been started.
no, there's up to, as far as we know, and there was very little discussion during the very heavy public comment session on the project. There was almost no discussion. Their solution to the dust problem was giving Chits free car washes to the Fairmead neighbors. That's the extent to which they got involved with any of the health issues.
They sent out public.
All these hearings happened during COVID, correct?
Yes, they were all Zoom calls, yeah.
And that is a, yeah.
They're all, I mean, anybody wants to wade through all of the minutes of all these meetings, they're all available on the website if you dig deep enough.
There's plenty out there. Based on the Googling, I can promise you.
And this only taps into what's happening. 57 units, it figures 1 car, maybe 2 cars in the family. And if anyone has gone to Selleck Woods and seen the driveway, it's barely a road that goes down. It will be so populated with cars. We walk there. Secondly, try and get out of that driveway, getting onto Old Kings Highway. I've waited for 13 to 18 cars before I can get out because traffic is coming both ways. They've not even given recognition for a traffic light. So many things have been overlooked. The Gillen family had a survey done, and the answer was there were going to only be, because the school system was questioned, there were only going to be 7 children involved. I swear this was set. And it's going to be divorced men from Darien who rent a place and want to see their children on the weekend, and those are going to be the 7 children, so the town doesn't have to worry about additional school system overload.
Well, the problem.
They forgot the 7 women that are going to move in with all the kids.
But the problem you have is October and November is when this document says your letter says they're going to start construction. P&Z, right or wrong, has already taken into account traffic and all of those issues, and they've agreed to it.
Ad nauseam.
Absolutely.
I think that's why Joe is absolutely correct. You have to be in the now of where you are in the process, and I think writing the letter, just finding out who has ultimate approval is very important, because you don't know that at this point.
Well, we suspect that it's going to be somebody that's commissioned from out of the P&Z Commissioner's office.
No, the building department.
It would be the building department, and
We'll figure that out, but I gotta let you guys go because we're coming up on our deadline. Thanks so much for coming, really appreciate it.
Thank you, yes, no, we can't pretend to say how much we appreciate having the
comments
audience. Yes, in the interest, thank you very much.
More than welcome, thank you. So, other piece of new business today was the plan. Okay, you saw that wonderful 102-page document as to that it basically is asking for comments to that. I will be very, very blunt, as you know I am. I was disappointed in that what it appeared to be was a bunch of government gobbledygook, classic questions of, hey, we got a problem with affordable housing, and we're going to work on that. Okay, thanks a lot. Is there anything concrete? And as you see from our meetings, I love concrete steps. I don't like, let's form a committee, let's look at this. But I'm more interested than Joe Pankowski's opinion in Peter's opinion. What did you think of that plan?
Well, I read it as well, okay? And my overview is it's a plan in a vacuum. And why do I say that? If you read this plan, the center of the universe for them is the senior center or the reach of area aging in place organizations. And I'm going to come back to that. There is no other mention in this plan of the CSEO, that's the Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, and Equal Equity Opportunity. There's no mention of Commission on Agings. There's no mention of at-home aging in place organizations. There's no mention of congregate housing organizations. They developed this plan and they're talking about a senior center coordinator that has other duties. So it's not even a single person. It's a well-written plan, but it is so narrow, and it is it's unrealistic. It really is unrealistic. And you know, I want to. I have, by the way, a new business item as well. But let me finish. Let me finish on this one.
Yeah.
At the same time I read that, I got a report from two things. The Connecticut Department of Health has gotten funds to help address complaint backlogs.
Right.
The Connecticut Department of Health will receive $700,000 in American Rescue Plan funds to help clear a backlog of unaddressed complaints from nursing home residents and their families. The Connecticut Mirror reported in April the Health Department had a backlog of 2,400 complaints from nursing home residents and their loved ones, and another 1,300 complaints related to incidents in hospitals, some of which date back to 5 years. Some of which date back to 5 years. And without getting into all of this, one of the things they're saying is that folks that staff that organization only work 30 hours a week. They want to work 35 hours a week. There's a union issue. It is so complicated.
Right.
So here we have this lovely plan that's essentially written and is well written. But is it reality, and who is going to act upon it? They mention, for example, municipal agents. Darien has a municipal agent. If you go to their list of municipal agents, guess who is on it? Cynthia, you want to guess who's on the municipal agent list?
Ally's one of them.
Olive Hauser. Olive Hauser. When did
Ally's a-
She retired
When did
3 years
Olive
ago,
Hauser
2 years
retire?
ago. Two or
About
three.
more
At
than
least
two-
5
about
years
2
ago.
years
No,
ago.
she's retired probably 7 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Oh, it's not
Yeah,
that
at least a
long.
half a dozen years. Yeah. Good case in point, right?
Yep.
But that's the problem. It's not actionable.
That's right.
It's a plan that is not actionable.
You're
There
absolutely
are no
right.
goals, there are no timeframes,
Yeah.
there are no objectives. It's just a plan.
Yeah.
It's shelf work.
Yeah. Those are my opinions on
Thank you.
that.
Well, the problem is that it's such a nebulous document. I don't even know where to start if we were to try to, they say, let's give us public comments. Well, for my part, it's crap, goodbye. Okay. But at the same time, I'm not sure that's going to be helpful from the Commission on Aging in Darien. So I would propose we don't do anything with this at the moment. And just say, you guys do what you want to do, because they're going to publish this thing, and she's going to sign it, and it's going to be, oh, look what we did, but it's not doing anything, okay? And so as we've seen from our earlier discussion, we try to do things here where we actually try to be something concrete, and this, even if we did a public comment on it, it would make no difference.
No.
Peter, you had other new business.
The other new business is, I've been approached twice since our last meeting about the senior beach passes.
Ah,
So, as you know, you live in town, you get a free beach pass if you're a senior, which you then stick on your car window. But if you're not in your car or can't use your car, then you can't use your beach pass. And a number of us, well, we only have one car, so we're in repair and maintenance mode quite often, depending on the age of your car, right? Or a grandson or granddaughter or parent says, hey, I want to take you to the beach, and they want to use their car, they can't. So they have to come to your house and get all of their stuff in your car and drive you to the beach so you can get in. The question is, and I think it's a great question, I never thought about it, is why not, for seniors, give them a physical beach pass that if they're not in their car, they can show so that they can at least go to the beach whenever they want. And I would like to suggest that perhaps we could invite the Parks and Recreation folks in for a meeting and where they can talk more about their senior programs, and we can bring this up.
Totally.
But I think it's it's a simple thing to fix. Now somebody's going to say, well, those cars are going to get out there and they're going to be misused. Yeah, I mean, is there
what, 10 times a year?
is there a sly elder or two in that population? Probably, but I think most of us are honest and will only use it for what it's intended.
Yeah, and you also have to think about how you would do it. In other words, in trying to make sure the Parks and Rec folks feel good about it, and showing that card, right? In other words, the guy who's at each
Booth.
play booth.
Yep.
So the question is, can you develop either a card or a cell phone thing, if seniors are cool with that, to be able to show, right? If you could have your cell phone
Right.
called up and boom,
Yeah.
you're right
I
out the
have a
window.
beach pass.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great
Can I
idea.
make a comment?
I think
Sure.
that's a
Firstly, Greenwich has the cards for entry. Does At Home in Darien have a universal pass? So you could take people that call At Home in Darien down to the beach?
We do, both of our vehicles have the pass, so, and we do take people down there. We'd like to do more of it, but,
Okay. All right, so we know Greenwich has done this with the past, but I think if I can get a Parks and Rec person in, I'm not saying get it done by the July meeting, but it's probably not gonna happen this year to be blunt anyway.
Right.
But at the end of the day, maybe the September meeting, if not, we don't meet in August, as you know. So July or September, I'll see what I can get a PNC, Park and Rec person to come by, because that's a great idea. Because I'm sure we can think of other things to talk about, right? That as far as that's concerned, and also, you know, what else Parks and Recs is doing potentially right now. It'd be fun to see what their current opinions are relating to Ziegler's.
Right.
Right. So that would be
Especially for seniors, because there are some issues. I don't know if you've watched any of the meetings, but there's going to be some issues coming up, and we've talked about them before.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I think that would be a good.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to do that.
Absolutely.
So I will invite somebody from Parks and Rec. Hopefully they're receptive to stopping by either the July or September meeting.
Great.
Great. Other new business, Peter?
I just want to give a wrap up on the legislature.
Go for it.
You know, this, as I mentioned last month, this has been a very unusual session of the legislature, and how many were proposed and how many things were passed. I had a meeting at ARP last month, and we made some real progress on nursing homes, real progress on supervision, on support, on the aspects of managing nursing homes and how they affect seniors, okay? And one of the things that's come up is that they're going to look at revitalizing somehow the municipal agents for the elderly. So someone in your department, it's probably Ally Ramsack at this point in time. Expanding paid sick days passed. And why is that important? Because under the old law, you could not get sick leave unless you were a parent or dealing with a child with disabilities. And that's now been expanded so that parents, grandparents, and grandchildren will be covered on sick day leaves for people in the state, which I think is a big step. But what I want to talk about is the two things that didn't happen, okay? Senate Bill 3, which deals with privacy. The Senate bill passed the Senate, the House bill passed the House. It was a consolidated bill, and it never got out. It never got out. And, excuse me, in a conversation I had recently with Senator Duff, I asked him why. And he said he was extremely disappointed, as we should be. And he said what happened was it just, at the very end, got into this congested last-minute session. The House decided they would slow it down, and so the clock expired without it having come to vote. Again, who's against it? The cable companies, the internet service providers, because essentially what it says are the privacy issues that need to be dealt with. And the second one, got a frog in my throat today, is Senate Bill 10. Which dealt with prescription drugs. And basically the same thing happened. A very complicated bill, lots of competing pressures against it, as you can imagine, from insurance companies, drug providers, but things that are happening in other states that are going forward. So I think in the coming years, we really have to focus on this. And again, just you can't take your eye off the ball, even at the finish line.
Yep.
And it's sad. It's really sad. Because all that work was done, and it's gone.
Got it. Hopefully back for next year, we'll see. Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Chris, quick report on that home?
Sure, a couple quick things. We've just initiated our annual appeal, which is obviously very important, but we continue to be almost exclusively funded by private donors in Darien to do I think, the amazing services that the organization does. So that's going out. Our Out and About, late spring, early summer, annual report issue is going out, and that goes out to everybody in town, kind of summarizing the past year. We're looking at a couple new events that we haven't done in the past. We had an author speaking event. We have another one that we are going to co-sponsor. Actually, somebody who has a deep background with Peter, who's written a book on Waite Hoyt, one of the great all-time Yankee pitchers. So that's going to be fun, a little bit different than what we've done in the past. We've really had an uptick in the referrals. People are coming to us. We're having somebody right now build a deck. that we've brought to a senior and doing some very special pricing for them, so that's great. And then I want to go back to that discussion on the probate, really to speak to, I think, the organizations in this town, and we talk about how we intersect and work with each other. One of our drivers, many months ago, a year ago, was increasingly concerned about an individual. We spent a lot of time talking about this individual, had no family, clearly some cognitive issues. Myself and the driver, we went and we talked to Allie about it, and Cynthia and the team. We went to them, we sat with them. Well, what that led to was a probate hearing where we all sat with the conservator and the lawyer for the individual. A long process. Just now that person had been brought to the hospital to get the care that person never would have otherwise. And there are a couple of things that are in play including new living opportunity for that individual. So that's something that's difficult to quantify. We can say we did 4,100 rides. We supported Selleck Woods with 100 rides for the residents there, but it's those things that happen with these groups. And you know, Cynthia and Allie and their team have spent a lot of time involved with that. So again, I think it's a great byproduct of this commission and the organizations.
Awesome. Any questions for Chris? Hearing none, we are in overtime. Anybody have anything pressing? Sue?
I have some old business.
Go
I
for it.
just wondered whether we'd heard back from the Housing Authority on, Myrna
The
was
wonderful
going to get
data
us-
they were supposed to get us.
Yes, and is there any way to follow through on that?
I will follow up and say, where's our data? Doesn't mean they have to give it to us. In fact, they seem to be ducking us at the moment.
I would love to have them be aware that we're still
But
waiting.
we're now on TV 79 yet again. Housing Authority, why haven't you given us the data you promised on TV 79 a couple months ago? I don't know. Good question.
Anyway, I just don't want that to.
Oh, it's not
lapse.
going anywhere, I promise you. It's going to be brought up in July, TV, September, October. We will continue to follow up with them if they're not going to give us this data. And then we got to figure out if they're not going to give us this data, what we're going to do about it. Fair enough? Cool, thank you, Sue, good point. Any other old or new business? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn the Commission on Aging meeting? Thank you, a second. All in favor? Aye, thanks for a great meeting, everybody.